Good day, everyone. My name is Ibiayo Ayolua Gabriel. I registered as a student in the year 109, and my advisor is Professor Ingrid Liu. My timeline so far has been as a registered student, PhD in 2020 November, and then I've completed all my courses, my compulsory courses up till now. And then between October and December, I performed a CFC behavior experiment, checked for autophagy markers in 80 mice model, and then I did a compound screening in HT22 cell lines and SHS Wi-Fi cells as well. In this year so far, January, currently, I have submitted my class report, and then I am probing for neuroinflammatory markers in vivo, and then also I'm checking for anti-inflammatory effect of my compound in the SHS Wi-Fi cell lines as well. So between February and May, I believe I'm going to continue or start my compound intervention studies and also my behavioral studies in 3XTD-AD mice. And then I'm going to discuss with my supervisor as the possibilities of taking my qualifying exam between May and June. So my current progress is about the role of compound CFA in Alzheimer's disease pathologies. So the compound, the CFA coniferaldehyde, is an isoflavonoid natural phenolic compound with anti-inflammatory properties. And it can be found in many foods such as pears, walnuts, kelps, and then citrus food as well. So it has been reported that this compound has anti-inflammatory effect and then anti-oxidative effect against A-beta-induced oligomers in cell lines and also in APPPS1 mice too. Now, my aim is to investigate the effect of CFA of CFA on amyloid beta oligomer-induced inflammatory response, and then apoptosis and autophagy in SHS Wi-Fi neuroblastoma cell and HT22 mouse hippocampal cell lines. Also, I want to investigate the possible effect of this compound on glia activation, autophagy, and cognition in 3XTD-AD mice. So far, this is my ideology, that this compound can inhibit the pro-inflammatory cytokines, rescue neuroinflammation, apoptosis, and then also rescue autophagy dysfunction and improve memory deficit in the 3XTD-AD mice, and then also in the cell lines as well. So far, my first specific aim is to determine the suitable concentration of A-beta oligomer in SHS Wi-Fi and in HT22 cell line. So far, I've been able to do for the HT22 cell line, and then I found through MTT assay that the 5 micromolar dose is able to induce the LD50 cytotoxicity in the cell, which I'm going to continue with. And there are other several references to support that as well. To determine also, 1B is to determine the suitable concentration of CFA on both cell lines. So I've been able to do for the HT22, and I found that on cell proliferation and viability, CFA compound has no cytotoxic effect at all. So my current progress now is to evaluate the potential protective or ameliorative effect of the compound CFA against A-beta oligomer-induced toxic cells, morphology, viability by MTT assay. So in the future, I'm going to work on the specific aims. First is to determine the inflammatory response by A-beta, and then also investigate the role of the drug against this A-beta-induced inflammatory response, and then also investigate the autophagy molecules in both cell lines and also apoptosis molecules in both cell lines as well. So in vivo, I'm going to check for the beneficial of this compound in the 3XTD-AD mice. So far, I've been able to characterize the locomotor and memory function in 6 to 7 months old AD mice as against a wild type group. And this is the experimental protocol that we followed for the OFT and the CFC. 3 days acclimatization, and then 1 day for OFT, and then 3 days we're going to habituate the mice for 15 minutes each. CFC, we train the mice for CFC contextual field memory, and then also we allow the memory to consolidate for 24 hours, and then we perform the retrieval trial on the 6th day. We harvest the hippocampus and then the prefrontal cortex for further analysis. And then currently now, I'm going to check for these molecules. They're related to memory. I'm going to probe for these molecules as soon as possible. So for the locomotor function test, I used OFT test to check, and then we used this test and we found out that there is no difference between the two groups because we want to know if the mice have locomotion function deficit before we can proceed to the CFC test. So in both groups, it shows in the distance travel, the speed, the corner zone, time spent in corner zone and middle zone, there's no difference in the two, which means that this mice does not have locomotion function deficit, so we can proceed to the next test. So the assessment of contextual frame memory in the 3-SCDAD mice and the wild type group, we discovered that in the habituation, there is no difference. But in the freezing during the training period for the contextual frame memory, both mice, they learned, but there is a little bit of, in the curve for the 3-SCDAD mice, it's a little bit reduced. And then for the contextual test now to check the freezing percentage in the 3-SCDAD mice is reduced as compared to the wild type. But we cannot conclude yet because of the sample size. So in the future, I'm going to increase sample size and then redo this test to be able to establish that in the 3-SCDAD mice, there is a fear memory deficit in these mice. So also, I've been able to check for the autophagy molecules to check in the 6-month-old 3-SCDAD mice with this wild type, and then check for these autophagy molecules in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. So far, we discovered that there is no difference between in the two groups regarding their these autophagy molecules. There's no difference in the hippocampus. And then also we checked in the prefrontal cortex. We also realized that there is no difference in the autophagy markers. So my current progress now is to probe for inflammatory markers in the two mice to see if there will be difference in this two mice group. Now, in the future, I'm going to start my intervention study to check if the compound can actually help in memory improvement and also to ameliorate inflammatory cytokine response as well. These are my references. Thank you very much for listening.